2021, 7 p.m. We have a quorum and we are on session. So before meeting starts, I just want to remind everybody that this meeting is open forum. All the proceedings are being recorded. You can use it later as well to review. So if you have any questions or answers, you can chime in, or I use the chat button of the meeting to ask us. We will respond. And lastly, if you're not speaking, I would prefer you go on mute so we have a smooth meeting proceedings. Having said that, let's move to open forum. Does anybody have anything for the open forum before we proceed to the agenda items? Okay, that's a long pause enough. So move to the 7:05 p.m. agenda to review and make recommendations on article. I don't see the article number, but 6, I think. This is 35 town farm task force recommendation for a future town meeting. Okay. So yeah, Ellen, do you want to give us a summary of this?
I'd be glad to. Thank you, Hari. The last time that I met with the Finance Committee just 2 weeks ago, we discussed Article 7 and the second motion, which is the request for the community preservation money for $2 million for both historic preservation, housing, and from undesignated funds, which is the town's share of the over $15 million housing project at the town farm property at 35 Town Farm Road. And under that motion, there will be an explanation to the voters, just as I gave to you, about what the whole project encompasses in terms of the improvements to that property, saving the old building, and putting in 35 units of housing. What that article doesn't address, and the only other component of the town farm project, is the fire training facility. And that's not on this warrant. However, it's such a crucial part of the town farm project. The town farm task force decided to present a resolution to town meeting right after Article 7 that brings up the issue of the one last thread in the town farm project, which is the new town farm. Well, as you know, the fire training facility currently is in the parking lot at the town farm site. That will have to be taken down to provide for the housing, and the new one will be built on Water Department property on Forge Village Road. Town meeting at some point will have to address the question of how much money that will cost and where that money will come from. In the recommendations the task force made to the Board of Selectmen in our final recommendations in November of 2019, we suggested that any income, the sale price of the property, would be put toward the fire training facility. We now know from Choice's proposal to the town, which has been accepted, they will pay the town $580,000 for that 1.65 acres in the two buildings. So our hope and our whole plan depends upon that $480,000 being available to help offset the cost of the new facility, which we don't have the final figures. Obviously, we have figures everywhere from $500,000 up to $815,000, depending on whether we get vanilla with chocolate sauce or vanilla with chocolate sauce and a cherry on top, and that has not been determined. So what this resolution does is present to the town meeting all of the components of the town farm project and asks this town meeting in 2021 to please, they can't commit the funds, but to at least, the wording, as you can see in the wording, is that they encourage voters at a future town meeting to appropriate the proceeds from the sale of 35 Town Farm Road to the construction of the new fire training facility. So that's why we're bringing the resolution. There is obviously no cost involved here, but it's to inform the voters that there will be a cost within the next 2 to 3 fiscal years, and to make some kind of a resolution that says that this town meeting at least understands that and would think it appropriate to put the $580,000 toward that cost.
Okay. Go ahead, Heather.
Can you just explain, Ellen, why we can't include setting aside that money for the future bill?
Yes. The town manager received an opinion from town council, because Heather, that's exactly what we hoped that we could do at the June 12th, 2021 town meeting. The town meeting cannot encumber in any way money until it's in the town's wallet. So until Choice has handed the town that check for $580,000, town meeting does not have the authority to set it aside, encumber it, or earmark it in any way.
Okay, thank you. And then also, what happens if a future town meeting doesn't approve that expenditure?
Well, obviously, we will be working, and the town manager has been a great supporter working with this. And of course, the fire department is instrumental. Deputy Fire Chief Dan Brinko is on our task force. We'll be working very closely with capital planning and with you to obviously have plan A and plan B. What would happen if the town chooses not to spend that $580,000 on the fire facility, but chooses to use it for some other municipal purpose? So we would have a system where it would only cost the town perhaps $250,000, and then the, not worst case, but the most costly. So we just would have to have both those options that we would present to town meeting. If we, and the timing of this, I'd love to talk with the finance committee about. I hope we'll be in real person soon, because it's a much more fruitful conversation if we can really look at each other in the eye.
Amen to that.
Yeah, thank you. Because that's just when, we can really have a nuts and bolts discussion to answer your question, Heather. How we present this to town meeting, when we present it to town meeting, and how it meshes with choices going forward to do the construction at Town Farm Road. They can start doing some site work. They can start to take down the cement tower that's there, and the fire department wait X number of months and train somewhere else. All of that needs to be carefully plotted and planned so that it works to a T, to accommodate choice, to accommodate the town's finances, and to accommodate the fire department. It can be done, but we just all have to work very closely together.
I have a question. So the existing fire training facility in the Town Farm Road, I thought there were some deficiencies in certification of that facility, or is it something that I just remembered but not well?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? You thought that there was what, Hari?
The fire department training facility on the 35 Town Farm Road is deficient in some certifications.
It's not in its certification. It's deficient in its utility. That tower, before the Rogers Station was built, there was a wooden tower there that was used for ladder and hose exercises. When the Rogers Station was built, the contractor was supposed to build a concrete building that could also be used for smoke training and simulated fires. They used the wrong concrete, the wrong cement. It was not built to spec, and no one realized this until after it was done. So the fire department is not able to use that tower, never has been for 20 years, for what it was actually designed for. It's not that it's missing permits. It's simply that it's not usable for that element of fire training. Okay. And that's deficient about it.
One of the question is, now the demolition of the fire department facility is set in stone. If everything gets approved in the June 12th, it is set in motion that the existing facility will be demolished. And we haven't decided on the new facility yet. Do you know what does the fire department does between now and then?
Well, they can continue to use that tower until Choice takes it down. And that will not happen until Choice owns the property. And that will not happen until May of 2024 or either end of fiscal year 24, beginning of fiscal year 25.
Okay.
So the tower can be used for all of that time. That gives us ample time to figure out whether or not we begin the construction with town money, not with Choice money, at the site we have approved by the water commissioners on Forge Village Road. So we could begin that if we could get money from the town to at least get the padding in and get construction started. So ideally, the new facility would actually be in place and operative before Choice actually takes down the cement tower that's at 35 Town Farm Road. That's the ideal, and that's what we're aiming for. So the fire department will not have a case of gaposis. They can use the Mass Fire Academy's facilities. I believe they're in Marlborough. It would not be a long-term solution, but it would certainly allow them to do some training if we did end up with a gap in time.
Dennis?
Ellen, I came in a little late. I apologize. But I got the impression that there's some sort of a informal agreement. There'll be cash given to the town as a result of this. Did I pick that like $580,000? Did I hear that correctly?
That's formal. That was the response to the request for proposal from Choice to the town of Westford, accepted by the select board in January. Choice will pay the town $580,000 to acquire that property. It's written in the purchase and sale agreement, which is on the selectmen's agenda for Tuesday night. So it's part of the purchase and sale agreement, Dennis.
So the only other thing I would suggest, and I just, obviously, deal. This has to go to the planning board or zoning board of appeals by any chance for approval?
You mean the entire,
Yeah.
Oh, of course, absolutely. He's building 30 units of new housing and renovating the town farm. It will all have to go through that approval process.
So could in the order of conditions, could that also be specified in there?
No, I don't believe that, according to town council's opinion, that it can.
Okay.
Only town meeting can appropriate money, and the town meeting cannot appropriate the money, as I explained when Heather asked this question, until that check has been given to the town. So it's town meeting's decision, not the planning board's decision, Dennis.
Okay. So
They hold the town's purse strings, and that's what this is.
all right. So in other words, what our leverage is, we have a deed that says they're going to do that, and that's fine. That's good. I just wanted it needs to be written. Should be written someplace. Just like Cornerstone Square, there were a series of agreements between the town and Cornerstone Square, contingent upon the approval that they would provide certain things. So I just wanted to enter that into the discussion. That's all.
I believe all of that, Dennis, is in the response to the request for proposals that was accepted as a legal document by the select board. So everything that Choice promised to do in that document is in fact a legal binding agreement on both sides.
Okay.
So
Thank you very much.
Already exists.
That's good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any Heather?
Ellen, did you say that they wouldn't be paying us until 2023 or 2024?
The agreement is that they will not pay us until they have all the permits in hand from the town, and until they have all the funding in hand, which are state and federal housing grants. Because without those two things, Heather, they can't build on the property, and they don't want the property unless they have those. So their timeline, Choice's timeline presented to the town with the response to the RFP, has a timeline of when they'll apply for the grants, all of that, when they will go to the planning board, and that process begins this fall to get all of the permits in place. But until they have that in hand, they will not give us the check for $580,000. And that's not that, I mean, that's how that's how, if you bought a house, you wouldn't give the money until the owner had put in the new septic system or whatever it was that was needed to be done to make it livable.
Okay. Any other discussions on that?
No, very good.
Okay.
So there is no financial element to the resolution. If we had the finance committee support on it, that would be lovely, but there are not direct implications on June 12th. There certainly are implications, all of which you've asked excellent questions about as we go forward with the project over the next 2 to 3 years.
Okay. So not to extend the discussion, but I just want to put our discussion into my perspective, right? We are asking the town to consider the sale of proceeds from 35 Farm Road to build a new fire training facility.
That's correct.
But the money won't be with us until 2024.
That's correct.
And so this motion can be, this subsequent motion can only be brought to a town's consideration in ATM 2025 or after.
When the $580,000 in the town's bank account. If the whole process goes more quickly than Choice anticipates, it could be as early as winter of 2024, but it doesn't look like it would be any less than that. And just to make a clarification, Hari, this is not a motion that is coming before the town meeting. It is a resolution. It is not binding. It is simply a sense of the meeting.
Okay. So Dennis, let me finish my thought.
Oh, yeah, sure. Absolutely.
The reason why I put that timeline approximately how I understood is because we cannot have, would that preempt town to consider a new training facility with alternative funds before that?
Well, the 580,000 will only be a portion of the funds. And actually, I met today with the engineering department for their advice as to whether it could actually be done in 2 phases. And we have not, I have not personally spoken to the capital planning committee or your committee about this, because if we could get some town money prior to 2024, we might be able to start the facility. But that would be a little bit chancy, because if a subsequent town meeting said no to the additional 580,000, we'd have a pad and we wouldn't have the money to buy the fire training equipment that sits on top of it. Yeah. So that's why I want to sit down with you in person and work with you on how that timeline will go, because it's threading a very delicate needle. Yep. And so we'll need to work together on it.
Yep. So I agree with you that it is more of a sentiment than a logic here. Yep. So just to say on the record is it doesn't stitch well in my mind, and that's what it is, right? I cannot make it like the timeline and the money and everything what you said. I cannot stitch it, but I fully support that the money that comes from 35 Farm Road will be attributed to a training facility or of a similar thing, training facility. Okay, so in that, this resolution only requires the town meeting to consider it as a article, nothing more. So I'm okay with that, because I largely share the same sentiment as you, that proceeds from 35 Farm Road should be allocated for a fire training facility or subsidize the new training facility. So yep, that's where I am. And Levi?
Yeah, I just have a question. And in response to the RFP, other than a choice, is there any other party respond to that?
No, they were the only respondent. We had spoken, the Town Farm Task Force had met with 3 developers in the preceding year, but of those 3, Choice was the only one who responded to the RFP.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dennis?
Yeah, I'd move that we approve the resolution, and the reason being is it's as Ellen just said, it's not a binding resolution. It basically sets an intent to the future town meeting that This was what we'd like to see happen, and I think it's prudent. I think I agree with you that the money should be applied to the training facility, and I don't think this hurts us in any way.
Yeah, I can
I
second
would
that.
second.
So let me go down my voting list. Jeff?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Levi?
Aye.
Hari? Aye. Jacob?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Okay, that concludes that discussion.
Thank you, Hari. And then if I
Thank you.
might just, after town meeting, perhaps even after the fall town meeting is over and you are back live, I would request time on your agenda to brainstorm with you and with Dan as well about how the sequence and how the financing should work to make this just the perfect project, okay?
Yep,
That would
looking
be an
forward.
educational and informative experience. Very
It's
good.
this whole venture has been both of those things, Dennis. Thank you, and we'll see you at town meeting on June 12th. I really appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Bye, good night.
Okay, good night.
Okay, so that brings to our next agenda item, that is FinCom book discussion.
All right, we actually have the
Okay.
April 29th
Approve.
minutes.
So approval of minutes. Has anybody have any amendments or attachment changes to that? Or have you reviewed it?
Heather had one, which I included here.
Okay.
Under
Did
the
you-
CP. Sorry,
Did you strike the other part? I can't read that.
let me zoom in.
She wanted to see if this struck up to any other part that she said.
Yeah, it said I had asked something. I'm gonna have to look on my phone. I still can't read that, sorry. It said I had asked something about the playground, so I just want to make sure you struck, oh, the one right before it, sorry. Fitzpatrick asked about additional expenses needed to maintain the
Gotcha.
playground. I didn't ask about that. I asked about whether, but then don't delete the Olson answer. I think you just deleted the Olson answer or whatever that was.
Oh.
Yep. So, sorry, Dan. And then I think you want to just move the one. Yep.
That goes in front. Okay, perfect.
And I think Olson said it is not anticipated. Yeah, that they wouldn't need additional. Well, that's good enough.
Great.
Thank you.
Any other modifications or set to approve that one? Okay, just a question. Is everybody here attended that meeting?
It says, let me make sure. I think I was there.
Dennis, Jacob, Jeff. Okay. Okay, so somebody want to make a motion to approve these minutes?
I'll move that we approve the minutes with the adjustment.
Second,
I second.
Jeff?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Levi?
Aye.
Hari? Aye. Jacob?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Moving on to FinCom book discussion.
All right, want me to give a quick update where we're at?
Yes, that would set the stage, right?
All right, so the book is due to the printers tomorrow, be tomorrow afternoon. Basically, I just wanted to see if anybody had any last minute edits to the file that was sent out yesterday. One thing I will add is that we did have a message from the Board of Health sent out today regarding masks at town meeting, and I would track changes included in here in case you want to have it as part of the, the COVID-19 update under the town meeting rules. So we can inform voters so they can make a decision whether or not they're comfortable attending, given these guidelines.
So essentially what this is, yeah, when you're within your private space outdoors, you can remove the mask. Otherwise you should keep on. I don't have any problem with that. Does anybody have any other thoughts about that inclusion of that
How
paragraph?
about when you're talking? Can you take the mask off while you're talking?
So it says here, when you're at the microphone, you can take off your mask to speak, but if you're up walking around, they just recommend wearing it for,
Okay,
for precautionary reasons, put people at ease.
very good.
I guess my only comment would be, we being, is that this message coming from FinCom?
This is from the Board of Health, so we can clarify, put a little heading. We could actually move it to the bottom and just say directive from Board of Health if you like.
Yeah, I
Doesn't
just,
matter.
because it says, we are strongly encouraging, on the start of the third line, I don't know who the we is there. If it's FinCom, it's not my business to encourage overriding what the state is doing. So I don't know that I feel comfortable with that. But if you wanted to say the Board of Health is strongly urging, that's fine with me. I just don't want to just.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think having the message included seems like a nice addition, and having the authority of the Board of Health as the suggester rather than the Finance Committee seems like an appropriate addition.
And there's one more we, like the 5th line down, we understand. The Board of Health understands.
And I also see that it's not mandated, but it's encouraged, correct? I'm just trying to understand. I'm not taking sides or anything.
It's recommended.
Okay. Okay, any other changes to that, or any comments on feedback on inclusion of the paragraph? Okay, we'll move on to any other highlights on the FinCom book.
All right, so this was the only edit from yesterday. I went through cover to cover 3 times, looked at every single number. I actually caught some typos and whatnot from the first time through, and Pam Floric in our office went through everything as well and checked every number. So it's been gone through 4 times, but it's always great to have that second set of eyes that may see something differently than what I did. So
Hey Dan,
yes.
can you search for TSS, Town and School Safety Task Force? I think I saw that acronym stood alone without explanation, and so TSS.
Yep.
TSSTF, I think. Town and School.
There we go.
Yeah. So this is here, and when I read through that, it just felt like it's out of place without any explanation. Like, people will be lost in understanding what that is. But it's too little for me to suggest for an edit.
One time, that's it.
How's that?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Any other edits?
So, I'll plan on sending this to the printer tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And so if anybody wants to send edits beforehand, if you try to get them by, let's say 1, there should be plenty of time to get those in the book and reviewed and sent off.
Well, it sounds like we got all the right numbers, huh?
They better be after checking it 3 times, but
I mean, I hope you didn't have to do too much erasing for us, but that's good.
no, the write-ups were great. So some minor edits to keep the language consistent, and that was it. So
Good.
It was good.
Okay. So is that it, or do we have anything on the agenda?
That's about it. This could have either been a working session if people had a lot of edits and we could fix those, or if you want to email me later, that's fine as well. And then we'll have the final version ready tomorrow, and we can actually post it to the town's website after we send it out to the printers too.
I mean, do you want a motion to approve this draft?
I don't know, because Heather might submit some more edits tonight.
All right.
So she's gonna look. So I don't know if we have to vote on it. I think if you have any other suggestions, please just send them to me tonight, tomorrow morning, and we'll look at them and be good to go.
Good enough.
Great.
So we have the future meetings. So are we going to have the 8:30 meeting, Dan, or do we have anything on the agenda, or it's just a placeholder?
We don't have any business at this point, so if something comes up, an emergency reserve fund transfer, something like that, we could always meet beforehand. But as of right now, town meeting starts at 9 o'clock, and they're recommending that people, show up at 8:30, be able to sign in, get their sheets and their motions, and pick a seat.
It better not be 95, and it better not be 65.
That was brutal last year.
Bring your water and hats. Yeah.
Yep.
That wraps up. Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion. Good job, everyone. That was a good year. We did a good job.
Anybody want to second that?
Second.
Okay. Let's go down. Jeff,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye.
Levi,
Aye.
Hari, aye. Jacob,
Aye.
Dennis.
Aye.
That's wrapped meeting, and thank you very much for all your hard work for this town finance presentation for 2022.
Thanks for your